Hi guys, it's Roy from Bellados 3D here with another Blender video, and today I will be creating a medieval style cottage. So let's get modelling. So we're in a default scene and all I've added is a character to give me some scale so that I can get the proportions right on the building. I've added my screencast keys to the bottom right hand corner, and if I go into UV editing you'll see that I've added a material with a trim sheet texture so that we can add quick textures to the model. So let's go back to modeling, and I'm going to start with the default cube, press 1 on the numpad to go into front view, and tab to go into edit mode, GZ1 to bring it up 1, and I think that needs to be a little bit taller, so I'm going to press 3 to go into face mode and select that top face, and GZ1 to, no, let's go 0.5 to bring it up, and I think that gives me enough space to put a door frame and beams in there. So let's size the rest of this cube. Select everything with A, and in front mode SX, and we'll bring it across to about there. I think that'd be about wide enough for our cottage. 7 on the numpad to go into top orthographic, S and Y to bring it out, and that gives us the general shape of our walls. I think that's about right. I'm going to delete this bottom face because we're not going to need it. That's going to be flush to the ground all the time. And I'm going to select this top face, and in right orthographic with 3 on the numpad, I'm going to press E and I'm going to bring it up to about there, should do. And now what I want to do is press S and Y to bring it in, and we'll bring it right the way into about there, and that gives us the general shape of our cottage. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two faces here, because I'm going to separate these and hide them because I'm going to use them later on to create the roof. So P and selection, back into object mode, and you'll see that these, if I move these now, they are a separate selection. I'm going to hide that for now and go back into the cube. I'm going to do the same to this piece here because I'm going to use that for our roof beam. So P, selection, back into object mode, select it and hide it. So we now have our walls, and what I think I'm going to do with these walls, because I'm going to be texturing them and they're small areas on the texture for each different texture, I'm going to put a loop through there and a loop through there, and I'm going to select this edge all the way around there on the corners, press Ctrl E, and I'm going to mark seams. Now if I go into my UV editing tab, and while I'm here I'm going to turn on my screencast keys, and there's a bit of a bug that turns it on and off when you switch between tabs, and I'm going to press A to select everything, U and unwrap, and that's unwrapped everything over here. Now if I hover over this window and press Control Space, it brings up a full screen of that window, so it makes it a little bit easier for us to work with. So let's have a look at what we've got. We've got our 2 long pieces and our 2 end pieces. Now these end pieces, obviously they're round the wrong way, so R180. And I'm just going to move them over there. I'm going to make sure my clipping is on vertex. Sorry, not clipping, my snapping is on vertex. So I can select this one piece here and press G and hold the control button and snap it together like so. And I'll do the same with these, R90 and G to bring it down here. It just makes it easier to work with. Now if I select these vertices on the end here, and I press G, X and press Control, that folds the UVs over. They're now mirroring, so I can actually use less UV space than I would have done if I'd have had it all as one piece. And I can move that over to here like so, and I can do the same with this. I can select these pieces here, and if I press GY and Control, it will snap it on the Y axis directly down and fold it over like an envelope. So now let's move this over to here. I'm going to select all of them, and you notice they're all the same size now, which is great because I can then scale them down a little bit, move them about on there. And if I deselect, press L on one of them and just move it there, on that one and move it there, L and move it over to there. It just gives it a little bit more variation. Now, obviously, you can't see the material yet because I haven't added the material. So we're going to go over to the material tab. I'm going to press the plus button, and then we're going to select the material like so. And as you can see, it's all nicely textured, just how we want it. Right, so that's the walls done for now. Let's add some beams. So let's go back in to edit mode, and what I want to do is I want to select this corner piece here. Press Shift and S, cursor to selected, and that adds the 3D cursor to that corner. Back into object mode because I want to make this as a separate object so I can use mirroring, and press Shift A, mesh, cube, and that creates a cube right where the 3D cursor is. Go into edit mode. I'm going to scale that right the way down like so. Maybe even a little bit smaller. About there should do it. If I go into top orthographic, now obviously I can't see the edges of the wall, so I don't know where they are. So if I press Shift and Z, that takes me to wireframe mode, and I can see the edges of the wall. And if I just zoom in a little bit there, I can just move that, and I'm going to just place that in like so. And let's come back out, and I think that's about right. And if I go front orthographic, I can press S and Z and bring it all the way up like so. And I think I'm going to put it just about there. That should be about right. Now I want to mirror this so it's on all four corners. So let's go into object mode, go to the Modifier tab, add modifier and mirror. Now it's not doing much because it's actually mirroring over itself there. So I need to actually mirror it over something that is on this center line. The origin point is on the center line. Now this cube is on the center line. So if I press this little pipette and then select the cube, as you can see, it mirrors it around that cube, the walls there. And if I turn on Y, and then that brings that to the back there. So what I'm going to do now is add material to that. Plus and add material, and I'm going to go into edit mode. These pieces on the ends are going to be hidden, so I'm going to take them, X and F, and delete them. And in edge mode, I'm going to select this back edge, which is hidden. Control E, mark seam, select everything, U, and unwrap. And there we have it in our UV window. Let's move it over to where our wood is and scale it right down, just like so. And there we have our wooden beam. That looks lovely. Right, so let's go back up to modifiers and apply that modifier. We don't need that anymore. We now need to add beams across the top edges of the walls. So let's into the walls, and we will select this edge here. Press Shift S, cursor to selected. I go back into object mode, Control A, and create a cube. And in edit mode, scale it right the way down. And then we want to go S and X and all the way out. So that's overlapping the edge of those, like so. And I think we need to bring that back, GY. And SY, just scale it out a bit so it's overlapping on all the edges. And there we have our beam going across. Let's add our modifier, a mirror modifier, change that to Y, and then select the walls. So we need to unwrap this, and we do exactly the same thing. This time we're going to keep these end pieces, so select these two end pieces, Control E and mark seam, and then U and unwrap. And we have our two little boxes here. Now if I just snap one of them on top of the other one, just for now, and then we bring it in, and we scale it all the way down onto this piece here, which is our end wood. And we select that, and go like that. And we just need to turn the material on. Put that material on there. And as you can see, the end piece there is a nice end piece of wood. Now we just need to do the rest. And what we will need to do is edge mode with 2, select one of the edges that's going to be hidden, press Control E, mark seam. Now this beam is going to be, what, 3 times longer than this, almost? Yeah, 3 times longer than the upright. So if I was to scale it into this area here as it is, it would the texel density will be different. So what I need to do is press Control R and add 2 loop cuts onto there. Back into face mode, hover over this piece, L to select it, U and unwrap. And now we have our UV here with 3 pieces. If I select these vertices here and I press GY and snap it to there, and then select the top pieces, GY and snap it to there, what I've done is I've concertinaed that piece of material, that UV, so that it's going to repeat the pattern of the texture. So R90, and move it into this space here. Just scale it down a little bit like so, and I might scale it up on the X just to give it a bit of variation. And there you see it, and you can see that the texel density is about the same on both pieces, and you can't see that it's been mirrored on there. Okay, so that's our beams done there. And let's put some beams on the end as well. And I'm going to do that in time-lapse mode because it's exactly the same as before. And on this one, what we need to do is, we're not going to need this back face. So if we select this and delete that, we're also not going to need these end pieces here. Let's delete that. And back to the time lapse. Right, so next I'm going to add the crossbeam along the top of the roof. So let's bring back our piece that we broke off. I think it's this one. Yep, there we go. And let's go into that. Select everything, S and X, just to bring it out. Give it a bit of length. Maybe not that much. There we go. And press E to extrude and bring it up. And I think we need to make it about that sort of size. So again, exactly the same as our long beams. We need to mark seams on the ends, and we need to mark a seam along this edge, and I need to add 2 edge loops through there. So let's select everything, U, and unwrap. And there we have our wooden beam going across the top of the building. And now I think we need some support beams going across here. So I'm going to go back into the original walls. I'm going to select this edge, Control S, cursor to selected, Control A, and create a cube. In fact, I'm going to delete that, sorry. Go back into object mode, Control A, Shift A, and create a cube. And then in edit mode, with right orthographic selected, I'm going to scale that right down, right down, right down. And I think that'd be small enough. I think that needs to come in on the X, so scale that right in like so, because we only need it sticking out a little bit on this piece. We don't need it huge. Let's go into right orthographic. I'm going to rotate this around like so. And now what I can do is, if I change my transformation to normal and turn on my move gizmo, as you can see, if I select this face here, I can move that out on that direction. And I think maybe it needs to be brought in a little bit in that direction and a little bit more in that direction. We can bring it down to the end like so. And now again, as with everything else, I want to mirror that. So let's go over to our modifier tab, add a mirror modifier, and use the walls as the object, and on the y-axis too. And that should give us our diagonal beams. So let's add a material to that. And let's mark our seams. Now, I'm not going to need the end pieces on this. So let's see if I can select them like so. X and F and delete those. So all I'm going to need to do is in edge mode, select the inside edge, Control E, mark seam. Let's come out of wireframe, select all, U and unwrap. And there we have it. Let's move that over to our wood and bring it all the way down. And we have our wooden cross beams. So that's basically our frame done. Let's take a look at the roof. So we're bringing back the roof now. And here we have it. Let's go into edit mode. I'm going to delete one side of this roof because I'm going to again use mirroring. So delete that. And I'm going to switch that back to, in fact, no, I'm going to leave it on normal because I want to move that out. And I want to move that out so that it's just about there. And if I extrude now, I can bring that out like so. And yep, I'm going to select this edge down the bottom there. And I'm just going to move that out that way a little bit. And if I select the face down here now, I can then just move it down a little bit, just so it's overlapping a bit. Up a little bit, like so. Just so it's overlapping a little bit. And I think that looks about right. So what I need to do now, I'm going back to global. I'm going to select both ends on here. And I'm going to S and X and bring it out. We have our roof. And let's add a texture to this. So first things first, let's work out. Oh, that doesn't look too good like that, does it? So I need to go back onto normal and just move that up like so, and maybe move it down there like so. A little bit. There we go. Excellent. And now what I want to do is I'm going to press, with that face still selected, X and F to delete that face because we don't need it, it's hidden inside. And here is, I'm going to, in edge mode, I'm going to select this edge, and this edge, and this edge. Control E and mark seams. Select it all, press U and unwrap. And as you can see, it's folded out like a piece of paper, R-90. And this is the underside, and that's the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two pieces here, GY, and control click there. I'm going to select everything, move it over to my roofs, and bring it in so it's within the texture space there. And just move it about a bit, and bring it back in there, about there. So now, if I turn the material on that piece, we have our nicely laid out roof tiles. Okay, so that's what we have there. Let's add the mirror to that. So let's go to mirror, add modifier, and mirror. We want to mirror it on the Y and not the X. And there we have our roof. Right, so what we now need to do now is we need to give this a little bit more definition. It's a bit straight edged and a bit boring as it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this beam here, tab into it, and we've already got the loop cuts in there. So what I'm going to do is 3, select each of the ends like so. I'm going to press S and then I'm going to press Shift X to exclude the X-axis. I'm just going to scale them up a little bit. That gives that a little bit of a kink in the roof there. And I think what I might do is select these edges, whoops, and do the same, S, Shift X, and I did press Shift X. I'm on normal, that's why. Switch it to global. S, Shift X, and then bring it in like so. And I think that looks pretty good like that. I'm just going to select it and GZ, bring it up a little bit. Now let's give the roof itself a little bit more definition. So I'm going to put two loop cuts through there, and I'm just going to move it just like so, just to give it a bit of a curve, because no roof's perfectly straight, and I think that looks about right. And then I'm just going to press S and X and bring it in just a touch, and it just gives it a nice little curve to the roof, a little bit more shape and a bit more definition, and I think that's looking pretty good. So let's add a door and some windows. So I think what we're going to need to do is I'm going to actually apply all the modifiers on these, and I think I've already applied that modifier. Let's go and apply that modifier and apply that modifier, and that's already applied, and that's already applied. And let's join all this together. Control and a J, so it's all one mesh. And in edit mode, I'm going to take this beam here, and I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate it and move it along to about here. And let's take a look. I think maybe about here, and duplicate again and move it along to about here. And that gives us three nice little sections there. I'm going to add a door into this section here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to again duplicate this and move it along. And I'm going to move my little man GX into the middle there, so I can get a rough idea of the size of the doorway. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to press S and Z to bring it down. GZ, bring it down a bit more. And I think that is a little bit wide. So S and X and bring that in like so. I think that looks about right. Maybe move it across a little bit. And then Shift D and move that over to the other side. About there. I'm going to Shift D again. R90. I'm going to move that up to here. S and X and move that along like so. GX. Let's give it a cross beam. I'm going to bring it out a little bit. S and Y. What happened there? I pressed the wrong button. There we go. S and Y. And bring it out. And then I'm going to select this face, press F. And this face, and press F. And there we have our door frame. Let's change it up a little bit and add a couple of loops in there. I'm going to select this face and press S to scale. And I'm going to select this one and GZ just slightly. And then if I select these edge loops like that, I can then press R just to twist them around a little bit. Gives it a little bit more of a shape. And I can do that on all of the beams as I go through all of the beams. And I'm going to do that in a time lapse. Okay, so now we have some very subtle variation on our beams. Let's take a look at finishing this door off. So let's go back into the model there. And what I want to do is I'm going to add an edge loop here, bring it across. I'm going to add an edge loop here, and I'm going to bring it across there, and I'm going to add an edge loop across the middle, like so, so that we have our doorway there. And let's select this piece, and let's have a look, see where we can put it. I'm going to see how it looks in our planks. I'm going to bring that up a bit bigger. Let's have a look at our planks here and bring it up. And yeah, I think that looks quite good like that. That's pretty good. Okay, so we have our door, and let's add a window. And we're going to do pretty much the same. So I'm going to still I'm going to still this frame here. Press Shift D, GX, and move it along to about here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in face mode. I'm going to, nope, that one. Maybe we need to put a loop in there. So X and F, X and F, Shift D and GZ, and bring that down like so. And then we have a window there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add another edge loop in here, and again up the side and up the side there. So what I can do is 3, take that piece, press U, unwrap. And next, let's add a chimney stack to this. So what I want to do is I want to create another cube, and it's all the way up there. I don't want it up there, so let's delete that. Shift C to move the cursor back to the middle, and let's create a cube. Okay, now we need to GX, move it along to the edge like that. I'm going to have it overlapping the end like so. Into edit mode, GZ1 to move it up, and I think I need to move this face in probably about there. Go to edge mode, select the bottom edge, and move that out probably about there, I would say. Okay, so we have that. Let's delete our faces that we don't need. So this one and this one, X and F. Delete them. And if we select everything on here, and we can Control and B, and bevel and bring it up, and just bring it up one loop like so. And I think that will look fine. Now we need to add our material and unwrap it. So let's press A to select everything, press U and cube projection, and that will give you what looks like a bit of a mess on there, but is actually quite a good little unwrap for this, because we can scale it down and move it over to our bricks just here. And as you can see, it has unwrapped it in such a way that it wraps the bricks round and looks a lot more natural, a lot more realistic. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that top piece up there. Oops. Control plus. I'm going to move that up a little bit. I want that up to about there. And now I can select this top face, Shift D, and press P, selection, come back into object mode, select that piece, into edit mode, select everything. I can go E and move it up to just above the top there. Now obviously I don't want it that wide, so let's select everything, S and Y, and bring it in, and then just top face S and Y and bring that in just a little bit. If I top 2 to go to the edge, select that edge and just bring that in just a touch there. Oh no, too far. I think that needs to come out a little bit further. So let's move this out a little bit further that way, and then we can move that in just about there, which means we need to go back into object mode, select this one, and GX, and bring it out just a little bit further there. Excellent. Right, now back into here. What I want to do is I want to create an edge loop here, and in face mode, select this edge. Face mode, select this edge around the edge with Alt and click, and then Alt E along face normals and just bring it up slightly, and that gives us the shape for our chimney there. Now select everything, Control and B, and do a quick bevel on it like so, just to give it a bit more of a natural, less sharp look. And now I can select everything, press U and Q project. And let's have a look at this. And R90. Move that into our texture space. There we go, we have a chimney stack on there. Let's put some pots on the top. So let's go back into this model and select the top face, press Shift S, cursor selected, and Shift A, mesh, cylinder. Now we don't need that many vertices on that, so let's bring that down to 12 and leave the cap as an end on. Let's shade it smooth and turn on our normals on there. Put that up to about 50. In edit mode, GZ1, bring it up to the top there, back into object mode and scale it down like so, and SC like so. And press Control A, scale. And then once we go into the model, I can select that top face. I'm going to scale it in a little bit, just to give it a bit more shape. I'm going to press I to inset, bring it in, and E to extrude it down like so. I can then Y, bring it along here. Shift D and GY, bring it a little bit further. And now, I'm not sure what material to put on this, so let's cube project again, select all, scale it right down, and I think what I might do, just for now, I think I'll use one of these tiles up here. Yeah, I think that looks fine. So let's deselect that, select that one, X and F, select that again, Shift D, and just move it along next to it like so. And let's just move that out on there so it's slightly different. Okay, so we now have our chimney. Right, and what else do we need? I'm just going to add a door knob or a door handle. So let's press let's go into the main model and select this edge here. I do apologize if I'm starting to slow down right now. I've recently broke my wrist and I'm trying to do this with a broken wrist, so I'm starting to get a little bit tired now. I promise in future I'll do a lot better, but at the moment I'm struggling. So let's press Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, torus, and I'm going to reduce the segments down to 8 and 3, RX 90, and then just scale that down. 1. Let's move my little man out of the way. I'm going to RY. I'm going to rotate that so that that's more vertical there. I'm going to move that into a better position. Scale it right down. About there. I'm going to go into face mode with 3. I'm going to alt click this segment here. And I'm going to press Alt E, extrude faces, and then just bring that out. And that will just give that a bit more of a definition on that. And I know this is naughty, but Control B. Let's see if I can smooth that off a bit. Just the one, and that's that. And I think that looks pretty good. So let's bring that forward. So it's just sticking out a bit more. And I'm going to cube map project that as well. And bring that over to my metal, which is just over here. And we have a metal door handle there. So let's have a look how it looks with the renderer. And obviously the lighting's not perfect at the moment, but G, excluding the Z. Let's move this around a little bit and take a look. As you can see, it doesn't look too bad. Okay, and there we have it. And obviously you can put as many windows and doors as you want into the house. You could add as many chimneys as you want. You could even do a Tudor style houses with beams breaking up the plaster panels. But this was just a quick basic house in a medieval sort of style for this video. I hope you learnt something from this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I do apologise that I was a little bit off during the video. I have hurt my wrist. I had a motorbike accident a little while ago, and it's very painful to model at the moment. But I thought it'd been a few weeks, and I had to get something out there, or you'd forget about me. So if you liked it, if you've enjoyed yourself, please hit the subscribe and the like button and tell your friends, and hit the notification button to be notified whenever I am actually releasing any more videos. And hopefully I'll be a little bit in a little bit less pain and a little bit more able to teach a little bit better next time. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you in the future.